Hey everybody, I'm JJ. You're watching Reality Survival, and hopefully this is going to work okay. It's a little later than normal. Um, hey, me and Dad. Oh, there's the sound. Hey, what's going on? Me and outdoors, or me and Dad outdoors. Is the sound okay? Can you hear me all right? Kelly Ford Harris, what's going on? Forgiven Wretch, hey, Annette Gray, what's going on? All right, guys. So getting on here kind of late this evening. Don't normally do these this late, but there's just all this weird stuff going on with the Chinese. Thank you, Mr. Landfill. With these Chinese weather balloons, spy balloons, EMP attack vectors, bio attack vectors. I don't know what's going on here. So I just thought we would talk about it a little bit. It actually does kind of have my spidey senses tingling a little bit. It is kind of strange, I'll admit. Not something that we would normally see happen. So I don't know. It's a pretty weird situation. I'm gonna pull up my my Twitter account here. I've got several stories flagged that I just kind of wanted to talk about with you guys to kind of get you updated on what's going on and all that. But while we're letting some folks roll in here, I thought since I am a good capitalist, I would go ahead and take a second and talk to you guys about EMP Shield. So one of the theories that is going around on the interwebs right now is that this is a dry run or a setup for detonating electromagnetic pulse weapon or setting off a high altitude nuclear explosion in multiple areas across the country. Now, I'm not saying that's happening. I'm just saying that's what some people are saying. And to be honest with you, it's an approach that I never really even thought about. I don't really think it's a particularly good approach, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it's an interesting approach. Anyway, if you have an EMP shield on your vehicle and on your house, then if there was an EMP to go off, the items in your home would be protected, or your vehicle would still run. And so that is a huge advantage when it comes to living in a grid down society, because if you have a backup power source like a generator or something like that, then you can still have some modern conveniences if the grid were down. Now, as I did a video not too long ago talking about the study, there's a 3-year study from EPRI, and they estimated that if an EMP took the grid down, one singular detonation, it would only affect a few states area, a handful of states, 5-6 states, and it could probably be repaired within a few months. So the good news is if that were to happen and you had an EMP shield on your house, then all of your appliances and everything would still work when the grid came back up. Everybody who didn't have one is going to have to try to fight and scramble and figure out how to get a new refrigerator, a new washer, dryer, a stove, and and computers and all that kind of stuff. If you have an EMP shield in your house, all that stuff's going to be protected and it's going to work. So you would be able to return to quote life as it was faster than everybody else. And the other thing is if you're in your car when something like that happened, if you were at work or somewhere away from your home, then you would be able to get home still. Now, it would be congested and it would be difficult and the roads would be clogged. Yes, I'm not saying it would be a cakewalk, but you'd have a better chance than people who were hoofing it, right? So if you're interested in that, if you're concerned about these weather balloons and you want to do something to try to put yourself a step above everybody else, then I can save you $50 per unit at empshield.com if you use the discount code Reality Survival at checkout. So if you decide to get a package deal, 2 or 3 of them or whatever, it'll save you $50 per unit. So that adds up pretty quick. And that's what a lot of people do. They usually get 3 or 4 at once and they'll save them several $100s. So anyway, this is their website, EMP Shield. They are tested by a third-party tester. That's the only reason I recommend these. It's because the test results are right there on their website. It's certified to surpass the military specifications, and they're tested by Keystone Compliance Labs, and you can download the test results and read them. So it isn't that was a buddy of mine. He might be watching right now. I don't know. The test results aren't done by them. They're done in a third party. So that company's not going to risk their reputation by saying that it's good unless it was actually good. At least that's the way I see it. Okay, so let's see here. Are we still live? It looks like I don't know if my camera has frozen up or not. I'm not really sure. Not really sure. Maybe it's still going. Yeah, maybe it's still going. Okay, it's still live. Good. Okay, so let me pull up my Twitter feed here. That's what I wanted to show you guys. So a little bit of background on the situation is, let's see, China spy balloon. Okay. So started out a couple of days ago. We had got a news story about the Chinese, balloon, weather balloon or whatever, floating over Billings, Montana area or something like that. It's kind of where it started, I think, catching news. And that balloon has gone down to Kansas and over into Missouri. All right. So and it's still presumably following the prevailing winds in the jet stream and still headed east. Then we get another report from the Pentagon saying that they've identified a second one down in Latin America somewhere, not specified. Then there is another video that came out of a guy in Billings, Montana today. So not the same situation as a couple of days ago. And he said they saw jets, sonic boom, and or some kind of explosion, and then a smoke trail of something going down. And he had a camera of it. We'll probably be able to show it to you here in a second. So I'm presuming, just based off of, I have no inside knowledge of this, but just based off of the timeline of events, that would be a third Chinese balloon. Maybe, I don't know. So let me pull up let me share my screen here with you on Twitter, and we'll see what we can see. Let's see here. So I'm just looking at the hashtag Chinese spy balloon. So, okay, bunch of garbage. Let me go to the ones that I tagged earlier. If you guys want to follow my like news releases on Twitter, you can just put in hashtag prepper sitrep. And that's where I've been sharing most of the stories, like interesting news stories and stuff like that. My Twitter handle is just @realitysurvival. So anyway, go to that hashtag here. This is the first one. My first thought when this came out was that it's really strange that China is using weather balloons to do surveillance, spycraft kind of stuff. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because it's openly known that they have satellites. And if they have satellites that are functional, you get way better imaging and resolution and all that kind of stuff. So why would they need balloons? That's the part that is just very strange to me. So maybe that's a testament to how poorly they're actually competing in the space race kind of thing, if they need to use balloons. So that was kind of on the first one, but then we start hearing about this other stuff. And then now something else is going on. I don't know what it is, but something's certainly going on. This is another one here where there's another story. It was talking about it. And I was like, don't worry, there's no chance they could put a nuke on the balloon and they're going to detonate it to knock out the power grid. That was like 5 hours ago, before we got the news story about seeing one crashing down to the ground, or seeing something being shot down. Let's see here. Yeah, so then from on-scene alerts, we got a report that said reports of fighter jets, explosion, and smoke trail in the sky near Billings, Montana, in the vicinity where the Chinese surveilled balloon was observed days ago. And that's just, hadn't been actually confirmed. They were just letting people know about it. So that's pretty weird. All right. All right, so let me oh, interesting. Is this a picture of it? I just shot down the Chinese spy balloon in Missouri. Okay, I don't know if that's actually it or not. That's hilarious, though. Who knows if this is real? Interesting. Is there another picture? I mean, it looks somewhat convincing. Yeah, it looks like this flexible solar panels that it had on the bottom of it. And so maybe that one has been shot down. I don't know. You can't really ever trust anything off of Twitter, right? So this here says China's spy balloon caught floating over Montana missile silo is likely a 120-foot helium-powered airship that could be equipped with surveillance cameras and radar. Experts warn they are key delivery platforms for secret nuclear attacks. Okay, well, that's a little bit scary. But here's the thing. Okay, look, that is that's pretty funny. If that is the case, if they were trying to conduct a nuclear attack with balloons, that's a really poor strategy. The government has been tracking these things before they got even to Alaska. All right, so they'd known about them. I'm sure of that, because we monitor our airspace very well. So but for whatever reason, they decided to let it play out. Now, I don't know why they did that. That seems strange to me, because I mean, if I was in charge, I would have shot it down while it was in the water, outside of the Aleutian Islands or whatever. But that's just me. I'm not in charge. So that's a fucking hilarious meme. All right. Yeah, and that's a fair point. That Montana is one of the 3 nuclear missile bases that we have. So that is why it's concerning in that area. That's all open source information, widely available. Anything else interesting here? Not too much. Okay, I'm going to go back to the chat here and see what you guys are saying. Okay. Pop this bad boy out. It's like negative 15 degrees outside right now. Super, super cold. Okay, I'm going to go back through the chat here and see if you guys got any questions. If you got a question, you want me to address something, you have a theory, or you want me to read something or whatever, do a super chat or put it in like at Reality Survival or all caps, or do something so that I can see it and pick it out of the chat. All right. Yeah, so Chrome Dome, sounds like it seems like it makes sense that it was probably another balloon that was shot down in Billings. We don't know that for sure. There hasn't been any confirmation of that. There's just been some confirmation of something falling out of the sky and some smoke trails. Could have been an aircraft had a mechanical problem and went down. I mean, who knows? But the assumption, the safe assumption would be that it was the third balloon. All right. Yeah, Mr. Landfill, they're just weather balloons. The Chinese government said so. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible that that's what it is, but why do we have them down in Latin America and all the way over to here? Like, I don't know. It just seems quite strange. Who knows? I don't know. It's the North Korean poor man's ICBM. That's hilarious, right, Cheer? No, unfortunately they won't. Sweet savory word says, JJ, what if we unplug our appliances? Would it be safe? So first off, if you unplug them, no, they're not going to be safe. Second, you wouldn't know when to unplug them. That's the problem, because the pulse happens very, very fast. So you wouldn't be able to do that, and it wouldn't help anyway, because the pulse induces electricity. The electromagnetic wave comes across conductive items and then causes that to build up voltage in the system. Now, if that thing is plugged into that grid on your house and you have an EMP shield, then the EMP shield notices the spike in voltage and shunts it to ground really quickly. And so it keeps your appliances and electronics from building up heat in the circuitry and keeps them safe. So that's how it works. Okay. So yeah, Bill, there's confirmation from the Pentagon of 2 balloons at this point, with speculation that a third one was shot down. That's my speculation. I don't know that. We have not seen any reports of that as of yet. Okay. Yeah, Julie, that was that. She says, any idea what exploded over Billings, Montana? And I think it was a third balloon, but I don't know. Yeah, here's the other thing is like, if I was going to play the conspiracy theorist in my head, like, what could you possibly use high altitude balloons for that would be an effective attack method? The only thing I could think of would be an EMP kind of situation, but it's just such a poor delivery system and so easily shot down. Why would you risk that? That doesn't make any sense. But I mean, whatever, neither does a one-child policy, right? So the other thing would be foot and mouth disease in, like, basically, let's say because foot and mouth disease, if it got loose in our cattle yards out west, that would be a devastating attack on the economy, because it travels very fast and it infects cattle quickly, and we'd have to slaughter millions and millions of cattle, and the economic damage caused by that would cause a lot of cascading failures. So, like, if I was going to think, like, what could a balloon like this be used to deliver, from a bioweapon perspective, I'd be worried about foot and mouth disease and infected soil. But that the other bioweapons and stuff, it's too cold. It's not a great time of year to do that. So I just don't, it doesn't really make much sense. So I don't really know. I don't have any idea what's going on, but let's see. Rich D says Canada reported one this morning coming from the North Pole. Well, that's interesting. I mean, that wouldn't be coming from China. That would be coming from Russia then, if that was the case. What was your source on that, Rich? I'd love to take a look at that. See. It's certainly weird. Jeremy's single knuckle says there's definitely something nefarious happening. It's certainly weird I don't know about nefarious for sure, but it's odd. 100%. It's odd. Mark Olson says SIGINT. Um, that's a that's that's a really poor way. See, these balloons are huge. They're like the size of 3 buses. They're massive. They're very, very, very big. If you're going to put sensitive signals intelligence equipment inside of a balloon, I mean, you'd at least make it clear, not white, right? Like that. Why would they make it? Why would they make it white? That's what's so strange about this whole thing is it's like it's meant to be seen. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's very, very weird. I can't imagine it would be a signals intelligence kind of thing because what are they going to gain from it? Like there's no they're just if that was going to be the case, you would want to do that in I'm thinking, I'm trying to war game like worst case scenario for you. If let's say you were preparing to have a full land invasion or something like that, then potentially you could put out a bunch of balloons for ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, similar to how they were used in World War One. And then relay information back, that kind of thing, or use it as a mesh network for communication on the ground as relay stations. That's a possibility, but there's not going to be a land invasion of the United States by China. I 100% guarantee you that. It's just, there's no chance of that happening. They don't, their Navy is not capable of it. And they couldn't, and even if they used all their commercial ships, I know they militarized all their commercial ships and everything, but it's not possible for them to put enough troops into those vessels without us knowing about it. It couldn't happen. And even then, they don't have enough active troops. They've only got about 2 million. That isn't even close to enough to complete and occupy territory in the United States. Not even close. You would need probably 20 million, 50 million. I don't know. It would be a lot. The number that it would require is so significant that the logistical operation to support that would be, I mean, a blind man could see them coming. It would be so big. So I'm not really worried about that. Yeah, Rich D says, yeah, their satellites can read the date of a coin laying on the ground. So I don't really know what their actual capabilities are. I know that they're pretty decent. So it doesn't, that's the whole thing. Like calling it a spy balloon, there's no reason for them to do spy balloons. I mean, really, the weather, as strange as that sounds, the weather balloon scenario is the most probable. As stupid as that is, because that's always the thing that they give, is like, oh, it's a weather balloon. Because all the other things, I think somebody actually said this here. Okay, so he makes a good point. Christopher Duvall says the balloons don't worry me as much as the potential responses from various governments might treat this as an act of war. Yeah, that's a possibility, right? I mean, that certainly is. The response to it could be bigger than what it actually was from the get-go. I 100% believe that. It's good advice. Sen Lin says people better be stocking up food, water, fuel because something bigger is probably coming. Hopefully not. It's not a bad idea to stock up though. 100%. I mean, that's what I've been talking about on here for 10 years. Let's see. Oh, I'm the same way, Tammy. She says at the rate they're offing people. I don't trust anything from anyone anywhere. Yeah, it's really difficult to find anything trustworthy in the news these days. It's hard to know what to believe. Yeah, Diana, the only one that I've seen is, let me see if I can find it on Twitter here. See if I can find it under Billings, maybe. So that's part of the picture of one of it that's blown up. And then here's the video. Oh, wait, let me share my screen so you guys can see this. Okay, share my screen. Okay, so we'll start this over. So you can see the smoke trail coming down here. And then you get some sort of white burst, and I don't know what that was. I'm not sure if that was just his camera lens flare or something. And then it just keeps dropping a little lower. What I find a little bit strange about this picture, though, if it's a weather balloon, is because it kind of makes sense that it's fallen slowly. But what is causing the smoke? Like, is it the plastic that's on fire? I mean, maybe that could be, I guess. But if it was an aircraft or something, it would obviously be falling a lot faster. So it makes, physics wise, it makes sense that it could be a balloon or something. And there's the rest of the trail there. So
I'm not sure what that was, but there is a ton of
kind of weird.
smoke on the plane.
Maybe it's just a contrail. Maybe it's nothing. It could be just some funky angle or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, that's the only video that I've seen. So Mark says Canadian prepper shot it down. That's funny. Australian woman says, what if it's some type of aerial dispersal system? Well, here's the thing with aerial dispersal systems and bioweapons and stuff like that, is that most situations, whatever vector that they're using, whatever attack method that they're using, whatever virus or whatever the case may be, most of them have to have a very narrow set of circumstances in order to be viable. So like too much sunlight, it'll kill the viruses. If it's too hot, it'll kill the viruses. If it's too cold, it'll kill them. If it's too, like that kind of thing. So there's like these perfect little windows where it would be considered a viability to use that particular thing. And that's why they don't get used very often, is because those circumstances are so narrow that you just don't ever really find that opportunity to use them. So it's unlikely that that's what it is. Also, obviously, if these have been being watched pretty closely, and so if any of the Air Force pilots or anything like that saw any indication that that's what was attached to it, then they definitely would not have allowed them to continue to go. So my guess is that the military has some pretty detailed and close-up photographs of this through either helicopters or jets or whatever the case may be. Even from ground-based surveillance platforms could get very, very accurate, close, good pictures of it. So I'm not really too worried about it being a dispersal system, to be honest with you. It just doesn't really seem like a very likely candidate for something like that. What did he say yesterday? The Canadian government said what? I'm getting to your questions, guys. Hang on. Let's see. So Christopher said yesterday, the Canadian government officially stated they're looking at a potential second event, which may be the one that was shot down over Montana. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, could be a diversion. My buddy was talking about that earlier. The diversion to what, though? Like, they're not of any consequence, so it doesn't really It's not like we've only got, you know, two surveillance platforms that can look and see, hey, what is going on over here? And then something else comes and blindsides you. That isn't a reality. We have multiple redundancies in the ways to monitor things. So it couldn't really be a diversion as far as I could tell. Rich says it's definitely a dispenser of some sort. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. Let's see. See, the problem with the diversion theory is that if you send something in that's weird, then what happens, just so you guys know, is that the whole alert posture of the military then goes up and everybody starts looking more closely. So it wouldn't serve any purpose to do that, because it's just what that's gonna mean then is we're gonna be paying closer attention all over the place. So I don't really see that as anything that would make sense to me. Tag one out says just to embarrass the US. Absolutely. 100%. Definitely. That could make 100% sense. Like that's probably the most likely answer or thing that has been brought up so far. Just to make question, just to cause questioning, you know what I mean? Aliens, you think they'd have better aircraft than balloons. Let's see. Yeah, Blinken postponed his visit to China. Yeah, that was his big response. Yeah, like I said, Australian woman, I don't think it's a bioweapon. The physics behind it all don't really make a whole lot of sense. And so, emergency survival tip says, I heard they ended up actually being 99 red smaller balloons. I haven't heard that. Where'd you hear that? I haven't seen anything like that. American First says he heard a rumor there were 4 balloons, 2 in the mainland, 1 in Hawaii, and 1 in Guam. I don't know. I haven't seen any sources saying that, but if you got a link, throw it in the chat. Be happy to look at it. Just looking for some more comments here. Anyone see the video of the balloon possibly being shot down? Yeah, we looked at it here just a little bit ago. Australian woman says it's a zombie virus. Juanita's Georgia, Florida's homesteading says they are made of metal and payload is transmitter and receiver GPS. Okay, well, where's your source for that? And why would they do that? Like, what would be the point of, like, they have satellites where they can see the entire mainland US, and then they have that gridded out. So what would be the point in putting a GPS receiver and transmitter on a balloon? Like, it doesn't make sense, really. And it doesn't make sense that it's metal either, because it definitely doesn't look metal. Yeah, Diana, I'm not sure that that's real either. The Billings thing, honestly, when I saw that video, I hadn't seen the last part of it. When she did that last part, it almost looked like it was a contrail that had been dissipating or something, which I don't know, doesn't really make sense either, because it was kind of going slow. But if it's going off at a distance, it could have just been a perspective of the plane as it was going down to the horizon and her chimney was there. It made it look like it was falling. So it could have just been a weird perspective of a contrail from a jet. Yeah, I don't really think it shows that we're vulnerable. I think more what it does is shows that the decision making capability in the administration is not, well, it would be the right word, on par. You can see it from the ground, David Jones. It's up about 70,000 feet, but because it's so big, I've seen shots of it where people were seeing it, from the ground, and it's fuzzy and it's very small, and but you can still kind of sort of see it. Let's see. Exactly, Don. That's kind of my question on this whole thing too, is he says, what's to gain? Like public hysteria and distraction. I mean, maybe cause hysteria, maybe cause embarrassment. I don't think it's really distraction, because like I said earlier, it's not going to give you, it's just going to make people be more on alert. So it wouldn't really work for a good distraction. I definitely want you guys in the comments section below, though, in the comments section below, not in the chat, go down there and put what you think Canadian preppers videos are going to be titled about this. And I'm guessing it's going to be something like Chinese invasion started World War III or something. But yeah, I would love to hear what you think his video titles will be. Emergency survival tips said the U.S. couldn't hold Afghanistan in its entirety, for example. Well, we never really tried. That's the thing. Like, the problem with a lot of these small wars is that the constraints that are put on the military are significant, and they don't allow us to actually operate the way that we want to. If we wanted to, we were in the handcuffs were taken off, then we could absolutely run over the whole country of Afghanistan and lock it down. You'd have to be willing to be okay with 1 million or so deaths, in a couple of weeks, and no politician is going to be okay with that. So what they end up doing is they end up fighting long-term insurgencies so that the military industrial complex can continue to make money off of it for multiple years, right? I mean, that's the way it goes. They don't want wars to be won. They want wars to be continuous. I think Jack Posebek said that today on Tim Pool's show, and he's kind of right, So that is what it is. All right. Yeah, Al Hawk, that's what we were talking about earlier, the balloon. He says the balloon can probably activate an EMP. That's why they can't shoot it. I mean, is it possible? Sure, it's possible. China has the technology. They have nukes. They could do it. It's just a really bad delivery system. Like, why would you do it that way? Because you're risking everything with a very, very small chance that it actually gets through and goes to where it needs to go, and then they detonate it, right? Like, I mean, it would almost have to be like an inside job. You'd almost have to believe that somebody in the government was going to allow it to go to wherever it wanted to go, and then they were going to blow it up, right? And so, I definitely don't think that that's the case. I mean, anything's possible, I suppose, but seems unlikely. My chat thing keeps moving here. Australian, she's she's really worried about these bioweapons. I really don't think that you need to worry about bioweapons. Okay. Okay, that could be, I suppose, Jeremy. If that's the case, though, the missile would it was going really slow, though. I really think it probably more I think about it, the more I think it was probably a contrail from an airplane just going away from them. But I don't know, really. We'll see. It'll come out in the news. I mean, if you can believe anything you see in the news, right? Yeah, I mean, I can't really get into America's First. I can't really get into a whole lot of any detail or anything like that on bioweapons and stuff. We have to keep everything real general, but it's basically the main thing is just the perimeters are very, very small to which they could be used. Yeah. Yeah. Ali Nunya says, why couldn't our Air Force grapple it and bring it down for a soft landing? Is that feasible? Yeah, it's feasible. They could. Not exactly sure how they'd have to work that out. My guess is they would probably have to take some cargo nets and a couple of like CH-47s and do some kind of weird thing to get, but it seems like it's unlikely they're going to do that. I mean, they'll probably just shoot it down. See, again, Australian woman, she says, is this a test before the real threat is set off? The problem with doing that with tests of security is that then once you do that, now you've given away your MO, your modus operandi. You've given away like, hey, watch out for this thing because more of those things might be coming. So tactically speaking and strategically speaking, it's a really poor move to do that. So the best and most successful attacks are the ones that don't have any dry run or anything, because then you don't lose the element of surprise. So I don't know. I don't really feel like that's the case, but yeah, who knows? You never know. So Serenity RN says, eyes off the main topic. What's the main topic? What is it? What's the big thing that this is hiding? Because I don't think it's hiding anything. I mean, if you can tell me what it is, I'm happy to entertain the idea of it. I don't know what that big thing is, because all the eyes aren't on that. Just a few are. So it's, I don't know. David Jones says, Dr. Evil's laser cannon. Not likely. Urban Jungle says when they get shot down and find out they've been filled with the next engineered COVID variant, spicy but possible. I mean, possible, maybe. Seems very unlikely. Like that's an extraordinarily complicated way to go about spreading COVID. So this is my problem with conspiracy theories, honestly. They're going to build these balloons and it's going to go all the way across the world and it's going to get to pre-detonated coordinates and then it's going to come down. It's going to spew the COVID all over or whatever. Well, why don't they just infect one dude and put him on an airplane and fly him to LAX and have him walk around and cough on everybody? Like, that's a lot easier to do and it's way more effective. It just balloons and stuff that just doesn't make any sense. Like, if you're going to try to transmit stuff from person to person, the best way to do that is from person to person. It doesn't make any sense. Like, it just, it would be so easy to spread COVID. We've seen how easy it is. So it just doesn't, and that, I don't know, that doesn't hold water to me. Yeah, it doesn't. Jeremy's single knuckle. It doesn't really show anything that we're weak at all. It really. I mean, I think actually, you could say more certainly that we know that it's not a threat, and that's why it was allowed to go, because we know that it's not getting anything that is going to be of any use to anybody. You know, I don't know. It's a joke. That's a possibility too. No, I guess you are the only one that knows that song, Emergency Survival Tips. I've never heard of it. Yeah, we talked about the EMP thing already, Flynn. It's possible. It's just a really poor delivery system. Um, like it makes a lot more sense. Like if they wanted to be all, like hidden and covert about it, the whole shipping container theory makes way more sense. You bring in a shipping container, and in the center of it, you've got a nuclear missile that's going to launch out of there. And then, by the time they react to it, because it's already close, in on the shores, then it would be too late, and then they could just detonate one. That would be a sure thing. That well, not necessarily a sure thing, but it would be far more likely to land and be successful than something like just slowly trilling a bunch of radioactive stuff over over the whole United States, and hoping that there was no sort of way to detect that or whatever. It's just not very realistic. Let's see. No, Loretta Taggart. It was launched from just not terribly. We start. I know we started seeing it not terribly far from China, and it kind of went over up around the Aleutian Islands, over Canada, came down into Mexico, and then over into Missouri. And so it just kind of follows the jet stream. And they've been tracking it for a long time. It wasn't like it was a surprise or anything like that. It just started making headlines once it got here, and people started getting pictures of it and stuff like that. But the government's been aware of it for a while. I am 49, good sir, or I will be in a couple of months. Well, yeah, something like that. So almost 50. I don't remember that song. Maybe if you can sing it for me. Peter Allen says, question, what I'd like to know is how they determined it was Chinese. It's because of the tracking of the whole thing. They know where it came from. I mean, it's that you guys can understand the capability of the modern world to track things in the sky is very good. This is not a technology that is new or anything, right? I mean, everybody knows that there's lots of satellites and lots of things in the sky that track things. That's all very known. And so it isn't hard to track balloons. That's what I'm trying to say this whole time. Like it doesn't make any sense that they're like trying to surprise us or anything. So it's very weird. It's very weird. I admit that it's strange. Let's see. Paul Phillips. Yeah, we have two confirmed balloons. One that is somewhere over Missouri-ish, or maybe by now Illinois. And then a second one in Latin America. Somebody in the chat said there was one coming from the north. I haven't heard that. And then we were speculating that maybe the third one was the one that was shot down in Billings. But as we looked at the footage of it, I'm less convinced than ever that that's what it was. Tammy Gauze says, I'm a canning prepping fool. People think I'm a conspiracy theorist, but if folks would just quit conspiring. Mark Olson says, Joe listened and took the advice of the guys who coordinated the Afghanistan withdrawal. Sunshine State Survival says, do they really expect us to believe they're not shooting it down because of debris falling on people? I don't really know. I mean, it seems strange to me that they wouldn't shoot it down too. I don't know why it's been allowed to go. My best guess is that they got a really close look at it and they're confident that it doesn't offer any kind of threat. That would be my best guess. Are you talking about Laoway 86 Viv B, the China Show channel? Two white guys. Yeah, I think that's the Laoway 86. I haven't seen the video that he's done, but they do have a good channel. Chinadian prepper. You guys come up with some funny stuff. Okay, where are we at here? Tom, what's going on? Space lasers. Balloonageddon. Okay, I think we're coming to the end of the chat. If you guys, let's see, Nancy says Canadian prepper mentioned they want to capture it to see what it's all about. Maybe they might. It's very possible. It looks like one of them, the one, if that picture that we saw on Twitter was real, then maybe the one in Missouri has already been shot down and they have it. I don't know. Yeah, it's just so. Here's the thing, like Mark Olson says, a test of how we respond to an unexpected event. That the thing is that, well, this isn't the first time this has happened. There's been a couple other ones, according, to some of the earlier reports. So they're not going to continue to test it multiple times. Like if it was a test, then it would just be one, right? Like that would be you would think, like, why would you keep testing it multiple times? That just seems a little bit weird. I don't know. They're not doing nothing, Meg. They did scramble F-22s. They have been monitoring its position. They're watching it. And like I said, I assume that they determined that it's not a big deal, and that's why they're letting it go. It is weird though. It definitely the whole, why is there one down in Latin America too? If it's a weather balloon or whatever. Like there is some weird things about it. I 100% agree with that, but single most famous Cold War song of all time. I'm gonna have to look it up. 99 Balloons. I don't know. It's not coming to me. Maybe it's because it's late and I'm tired and yeah. Well, Jeremy, the thing is that he says you're talking about a foreign object that's over our nuclear silos and we did nothing. Like I said, we didn't do nothing because they did track it. They are watching it. They know where it's at. And they definitely know that it's not a threat to our nukes. Those nuclear silos are basically made to take a direct hit right on top of the silo. So, I mean, they're very, very, very survivable. So I don't think a balloon is going to do anything. They're not worried about balloons doing anything to the nuke silos. Trust me, they're impressive. I don't even know that we could build them today because they're so impressive. I mean, they were built back in the 60s and 70s, back when men were harder, because I've been in them, I've seen them, and they're amazing pieces of all kinds of coolness. All right. Sandlin says, I have a close friend that works for a police department and they were given info on procedure in case of zombies. You got to be a Russian troll, dude. That's hilarious. Yeah, slow decision making definitely showed up there. I'll agree with that. Lipid nanobots. All right. All right. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I'm not sure how long we've been on here, but I am I'm getting tired. I'm going to go hit the rack here pretty fast. Oh, let me get out of here. Okay. Close that down. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. And if you want to get in on our monthly giveaway, it's only going to be open for probably another day or so, over on realitysurvival.substack.com. If you're a paid subscriber, we're giving away an LA police gear backpack. It's a pretty cool backpack. Make a great little bug out bag and all that kind of thing. So go over to realitysurvival.substack.com and sign up. You might win something. And go to Twitter and follow me on Twitter @realitysurvival. All right, guys. Take care. I'll see you on another video.